And welcome back. Good morning. It's now 8 minutes past 7 a.m. All right in time for Good Morning Kenya. It's now time for People in Politics. Let's talk about some politics before you leave your house for work. And if you get late, please don't blame me. It is all about the show. It's interesting. I have in studio Atieno Ogolla, who is an advocate of the High Court of Kenya. She's also an author. She is a KANU NEC member and ADR practitioner. Wakili, good morning.
Good morning.
Good to see you after a long time.
Yes, sure.
Where have you been? Please tell us.
So
the viewers missed you.
Good morning, everyone. As the presenter has said, my name is Atieno, and I have been working very diligently to produce books that will actually help the legal landscape and the country at large.
Karibu sana.
Thank you.
You'll tell us about that shortly.
Yes.
Francis Kaviu, who is a deputy minority leader, Machakos County, will joining us shortly in studio. But then Wanjiku Thiga, national youth leader, DCP party, she's here. Wanjiku, good morning.
Good morning.
Good to see you as well.
Thank you for having me. This is my debut.
Much busier. I know right now, you said you're only 3 weeks old.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter the age.
DCP is the new kid on the block, and we're impressed that the expectations are very high, and we are looking forward to meet them.
Tell us more about the expectation.
For me, and what I am really excited about is the young people's intention and anticipation on joining political party activities. And what I am really encouraging young people is first to register as a DCP member, and then we can engage. Yes.
What is a day like as a national youth leader?
My day, media engagement in the morning. Then I have to check in on Facebook because I have a lot of DMs and it's young people across Kenya asking how they can meaningfully engage with the party. And also young people who are also doing a lot of ground activities, you know, being active on the ground, talking to people about DCP party, and also, which is really impressive, is selling their candidacy for 2027. Besides that, and then there's going to office, meeting young people for the lined up meetings for the day. And there are days where we have meetings, like today we have a meeting, an official meeting. And then in the evening, having meetings out of the office meetings, again, with a lot of young people who are interested in running for office in 2027 and seeing how we can collaborate to meaningfully engage along the electoral cycle.
I can imagine, when you talk about KANU, Mzee Moi said, KANU tatawala milela milela. Is it 100 years?
Yes.
We're not yet 100?
Not yet, not yet.
Where are we?
No, you see, one thing we have to appreciate about KANU mentored a lot of the leaders that we are seeing today, all the way from Mwai Kibaki, the current President Ruto. So KANU has been a good training ground, and that's why we will rule for 100 years, because we mentored all the leaders that we are seeing today.
In fact, you can authoritatively say that most of the current leaders we have passed through KANU. Yes,
there were officials at different times,
including?
Including President Ruto himself. Yes. So,
So being a NEC member, looking at the number of youths, she's also talked about involving youth in the political landscape. How is it changing? Are we seeing an upsurge of youth getting more interested in the political space, or is it left for the people who have been there for quite a long time to dominate and run the show?
Yes, you see, after the Gen Z protests last year, it was very clear that youth are now engaging meaningfully in politics. They are aware of the environment that they are finding themselves in. So there has been a great push to ensure that the youths are in political parties, because you see, you can't organize, you can't be able to meaningfully contribute to discussions if you're not in a political party, So youths have been encouraged through different political organizations and now the political parties to join. So I'd like to invite all the youth of Kenya to join KANU because KANU has proved to be the most stable party. You know, since independence, we've been there. We are open to mentorship of young leaders who are interested in vying in 2027. So as a party, one thing we are actually doing is reaching out to youth from all classes of people, whether you're at the campuses, at the grassroots, because we recognize that it's the youth who are actually the majority of the Kenyan population, even in Africa, and they're the ones to decide how they want to be led.
But changing their mindset about politics is one of the hardest nuts to crack. I mean, telling someone, can you go and vote? Now, having just an imagination of, you know, standing in the long queue, for us, we are okay with that. Okay, but telling a Gen Z to go and queue for 2-3 hours and just cast that ballot and come back, mtu anasema, hiyo ni kazi ngumu. How are you, working around that to change the perception? Because just casting your ballot is one important civic duty. In fact, the moment you cast your ballot, there is a feeling you have that you have contributed to the national development. How are you planning to change that as youth leaders in different political parties, Wanjiku?
Yeah, indeed, it's an important task, and the reason why you see a lot of young people are really not impressed with this regime is because they also did not vote for it. They did not participate. There was a lot of voter apathy in 2022.
Yes.
I ran for office in 2022, and I remember when I went to put myself in on the line, I did not see young people. It was just all the older generation.
Yes.
And now, after 2024 Mandamano, young people understood why the person is political, why they must now contribute to the leadership in 2027. And you've said that they have to line up for 2-3 hours. It even takes longer.
Even longer than that, yes.
People wake up at 3 a.m. to go and queue, and then, it opens at 6. And
there's a problem with the biometric system, the ballot box has not arrived. So you end up, number one in the queue, you end up voting at 11.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they've seen the cost of not going out to vote. And for me, my biggest task is not only to convince them why they have to vote, because they have seen the reason why they need to go out and vote. What I need to do is to explain to them why they have to belong to a political party. If you don't belong to a political party, then where are you going to exercise your voice? Your political voice. Political voices are exercised through political parties. And then let's talk about the nomination process in the election year. You cannot be able to vote in leaders if you don't nominate them. A nomination goes through political parties. So young people have to understand that the whole electoral cycle, because they really came into contact with politics in 2024. So they are very junior at it. And it's our role as youth leaders in political parties to explain to them, to demystify what it means, to why you need to belong to a political party. Because most of them, you meet them and they tell you, I will run independent. But you tell them, have you ever seen a presidential candidate who's independent? You see,
that's a good question.
Yeah, you see, the country runs alongside systems, and these systems exist for a reason. And for us, what we need to do is to get into the systems and run them. We can't run the system when we're outside. So we have to get into political parties, and not necessarily just to run for office, also to organize and mobilize. Also to, we have to be tactical and have a strategy. So even to also support other young people who are running for office, we show up for them and nominate them to run for office in August, because they also have to clinch party tickets. And today, it's truly honest that Kenyans still vote along party lines. So also let's make it easy for the young people who are intending to be in office, both in county assembly and national assembly, in 2027. Let's support them within political parties, because political parties are infrastructures that support candidates. And running as an independent candidate is really tasking. It's truly tasking. So let's make the process easier for fellow young people.
Yeah. Yes, Wakili.
Yes, for me, one thing I'd like to say is that after the protest, the Gen Z protest last year, the youth clearly understood that politics affect every single area of your life, so that if you don't vote, it means you're allowing a regime that does not have your best interests at heart to be in power. You see, because you see, the issue that led to the protests was just about the bread and butter, your basic needs. Yeah. So right now, I'm so sure the youth understand the importance of going to the ballot and voting. And even if you saw after the protests, they were still following up on legislations that were in parliament.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it shows that right now, and you remember they were saying this were the youth who are coming to town through the Ubers and the KFC.
The iPhone 16 Pro Max and all that.
So these are learned youth
Yeah.
that we are dealing with, and what we just need to emphasize is that your vote really does count, and I think there needs to be now the push to be able to do voter education, to be able to ensure that the systems, the electoral systems in place are actually working. We need to restore confidence in the electoral system, because if we don't, that's why we're seeing in Africa there's a lot of civil war. If we are not having faith in our democracy, then the alternative is war. Yeah, so we need to tell the youth that you need to come out to demonstrate that you actually believe in the systems, and also we urge that the new commissioners really try to ensure that the electoral system is working so that the country can be in harmony and we move on.
Okay.
Yes.
The reason why I raised that, because when you're talking about the political chess game, which is our today's topic, political Siasa chess game, because we are going to see an upsurge of different political parties ahead of 2027. But then now, these political parties are going to have friends, what we call friends, political friends. This party talking to the other party, this person talking to the other person. So when you look at it this way, I'm trying to imagine, then you have got several, how many political parties do we have? Almost 92 political parties.
Yes.
And we are going to see more being registered. Every party is going to have a candidate for 2027. And they are going to be having, you know, tea meetings. We just met for a cup of coffee and a cup of tea. That is what you're going to see, the political chess game that we are about to experience in the country. How do we include the youth? Because there's that bracket, and then now's the Gen Z. So how do we bridge that gap between the Gen Z and the other bracket? Wanjiku?
It is true. We're going to see an upsurge of new political parties coming into play. Our party leader has been keen in letting us know that this is something that is going to happen.
Yes.
For us, we see it as a tactic to withdraw the support that DCP Kenya has really been able to marshal. We're not saying it's not, for example, the TIFA results were not fully announced. We know that the presidential beat was not announced, and we know
the latest results
from TIFA.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And we know it's because that the numbers are looking really bad for the president, for President Ruto. And what we are saying is that as DCP party, is that we need to see truly what is happening, what we know what, because at the end of the day, data is important, and the TIFA results is what's going to share with us. But we've already seen the anti-broad-based sentiment from different regions of the country. But for us as a political party, and I say we are 3 weeks old, but the expectation is very high. We know that, especially when we come back to the mountain, public trust was already cut off, because most of the legislators from our end voted in their own self-interest and self-gain. And we know that when we frustrate the idea of collective gain, then public trust is withheld. And now for us, like for DCP party, and I know it's following, and a lot of its members, they have a lot of issues with trust and accountability, because our leaders showed us that it's about self-gain and self-interest. And you see, when people go out to vote, they usually get into a social contract with their legislators. But what happened in reverse during the impeachment of our deputy president, His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, it was the legislators not following the social contract that they were given. And from then on, there has been lack of transparency and accountability. So for the new political parties that are coming up, already people are having distrust with them. And for our party, we've managed to really amass trust and following from our people, because we
Within 3 weeks?
Yes.
Okay.
But we cannot say just 3 weeks.
That's a lot.
It's that it's been, people have been waiting for the political home to be formed. So when it was, when we unveiled, people now came and registered to the party because it was something that they were waiting and longing for. And it's something that people asked for. They told our party leader, we want a political home. We want a political home where we know we can trust, where we know that our issues are going to be listened to.
Yeah.
Our clarion call is Siasa Kenya, Siasa ground. So we are listening to the Kenyans. They are speaking about the economic rights. They're talking about social justice. They're talking about, even right now with what Boniface Mwangi and Agatha went through, they're talking about the abductions that are going through, and every day we've seen members from DCP party going through a lot of abduction issues, repression, intimidation from state. So we know other political parties are going to come, but they're here to really cut off the momentum. Other stable parties are...
It's quite imperative to note that when you have got political parties, Wakili, because political parties are actually meant for political reasons, either to win power, to negotiate for power, and to sign that political social contract with the voters, Wanjiku to speak. Not Wanjiku, Wanjiku the voter. But then, does the younger generation really understand the real DNA of joining a political party, the real reason of joining a political party?
Thank you for that question. And I think in the course of our discussion, we are clearly bringing out that as much as, yes, previously before 2024, they didn't understand the importance of joining a political party, now I am sure they do. Because even after the Gen Z protest, you see it has really fizzled out. There needs to be a structured way of engagement. You see, that's why there's some people saying that there are people who sold them out after the Gen Z protest. You see, but then we need to keep up the momentum. And what is the recognized way in our Kenyan constitution of engaging in political activities? It's through political parties. That's why there's the repeal of Section 2A, so that we can have multi-partyism. So now our role as youth leaders is to educate the youth and continue encouraging them to join political parties so that they can be able to engage meaningfully. Now, when we talk about the youth participating in political parties, and now what you've talked about, the surge of political parties, what I can say is that, as you said, political parties are formed as a means of mostly negotiating power. And in Kenya, every election brings out new political parties, and you're seeing, I'm sort of seeing almost like an abuse of Section 2A, because we need to have stable parties, what we see in the US and in the UK. And if I want to talk about KANU, I will keep saying KANU ndo chama ya baba na mama. And one thing the youth need right now is a leader they can trust, because trust is the, let me say, the currency in politics. And if you look at...
Is it youth or
Kenyans at large, because...
But what is the brain of a young Kenyan who is about to vote, who has voted once? Let me just call them a Gen Z. What's in the mind of a Gen Z when it comes to politics? So
because I have Gen Z siblings, I can tell you for sure that, and even I interact with youth in different parts of Africa, what I can tell you for sure, youth want hope. They want a country that works for them. They want systems that will encourage their growth for the years to come, you see. And that can only be through leaders who actually show that they have their best interests at heart. You see, for example, you cannot claim to be wanting to support the youth and the activities. Yet right now we know technology is the driver of change. How are you showing us that you are investing in the technology that will help the youth in Africa play favorably with the youth in Asia and in Europe? You see, so we have to be really realistic and not really just try to sell ideas that are not important for the time. You see. So one thing, as I was talking about our party chairman, he has really, in terms of integrity, really tried to maintain his integrity as a leader, which is very important because Kenyans right now don't need fake promises. They don't need systems that are being perceived to work, but in reality they are not working. You see, for example, even the right to housing. It's a right in our constitution. Yeah. We fully accept that all Kenyans need decent housing. But then how are these houses being churned out to different Kenyans? There are no proper rules, and even you saw the High Court just recently declared some sections of the housing project, the act that was governing the housing project, unconstitutional. So there are still issues on how Kenyans are supposed to get the different houses. There's still uncertainty. So what I can say is that it's important that as leaders we be honest, and I can tell you for sure that our party chairman, Honorable Gideon Moi, is very interested in being the leader of the time. So one thing I'll encourage the youth of Kenya: look at your leaders and question. Don't vote along tribal lines. Right now, everyone is suffering. If you're a Luo like me, if you're a Kikuyu, everyone is suffering. So right now we need systems. So for the youth, they want systems that will work.
But does the youth really understand that politics like rugby, you don't play it with some soft gloves? So much as we've gone digital and everything is a digital platform and there's no baby gloves here in politics.
I mean, considering they participated in the protest, they now know you pull out the gloves, and when it's important to fight,
you go bare knuckle.
Yeah, you go bare knuckle. So I want us to really understand that this is not the generation that didn't know what they're doing.
Let's take a break before we go with baby gloves on the show. Stay with us. Atieno Ogolla is an advocate of the High Court. She's an author, NEC member of KANU. She's also a practitioner. Wanjiku Thiga, National Youth Leader, DCP Party, also with me today. Stay with us. We'll break back with more. All right, and welcome back. Now, a quick one. Francis Kaviu has just joined us. He's the Deputy Minority Leader, Machakos County Assembly. Francis, welcome to Good Morning Kenya.
Thank you.
Karibu sana. Okay, so let me take you a quick one. On the front page of the local dailies, before we continue with the discussion, regional kingpins battle for 2027. More or less the same thing that you're talking about. Regional kingpins battle for 2027. We have got different faces here. One of them, Wanjiku is going to be happy about that, is Rigathi Gachagua. We have got Kalonzo Musyoka. We have got Fred Matiang'i, former CS, Martha Karua. We have got Professor Kithure Kindiki, who is a deputy president. We have got Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi, and Johnson Sakaja, who is the governor of this great city of Nairobi, and Abdul Samad Nasir, who is the governor of Mombasa. The political heavyweights flex their muscles to consolidate influence. That is what's on the front page of the Star newspaper. Wanjiku, I'm going to give you that because now there's a reason for that. Okay, so on the front page of the Daily Nation, how grade 9 choices will shape careers. That is on the front page of the Daily Nation. How grade 9 choices will shape careers. Grade 9 learners can pick from 9,569 institutions that will admit in January. That is what's here. And of course, there is a case of tears and as activists recount torture in Tanzanian detention. That is Boniface Mwangi yesterday during a press conference. And of course, there was Ruto intervenes in row over secret NIS camp at the coast. There's so much happening on the front page of the Daily Nation. And finally, on the front page of the Standard, Weston arm twist. Weston arm twist. That is what is here. And the picture here is of the Weston Hotel. The story says that in a comic twist exposing the rot in the public institutions, KCAA now seeks compensation, not restitution, from the President Ruto-linked Weston Hotel over contested land. Now, despite earlier claims, the agency now signals the land grab is acceptable, so long as payment is made. Justice, it seems, has a price Weston is willing to pay. That is on the front page of the Standard newspaper. And of course, Boniface Mwangi, again down there, voices crushed and bodies broken, activists allege torture in Tanzania. That is also the front page of a local daily. So, Francis, we were just having a conversation. There is this political and Siasa chess game that you are experiencing in the country. First of all, what happened in your county, in Machakos? What happened? Have you resolved the issue?
We were able to resolve the issues. It's only that there was some bottleneck.
What was the problem for the sake of the viewer?
I think independence of a governmental institution has been an issue in this country. And it is the same problem that is happening in Machakos. And if you can recall, last time we were here, we were talking about the autonomy of the county assemblies. And there has been a lot of interference in the operations of the county assembly, not only in Machakos, but across Kenya. And that's why we have been advocating for stronger county assemblies so that the Kenyans can realize the true value of devolution, because as long as we have weaker county assemblies institution across Kenya, then the people might never realize the true fruits of devolution. And that interference is what is affecting Machakos by the executive. But as the representative of the people, we were able to stand tall against that and defend the cause of devolution, because we don't want a scenario where when the big people or the people in leadership don't want to do the right thing, and the moment they are questioned, because they have the influence or the power to impeach, then just because today I'm not in agreement, either, let's say, like the issue that happened with the deputy president, there are better mechanisms of solving these leadership wrangles. So instead of calling for impeachment, it is for the executive to look into the issues that are being raised by the county assemblies and resolve amicably, because at the end of the day, we normally say the client is one, the mwananchi. So whether you like each other or you don't like each other, you must always find a solution so that you can have time to serve. So that space, that democracy, that freedom to exercise the constitutional mandate that has been given to the County Assembly of Machakos, that is what was being interfered with. And we said no to that interference. And unfortunately, you just saw the other day during the Ukambani tour that was being done by the, I don't know whether to call them the opposition or the force that is coming up. You saw the Wiper leader giving an instruction that the Speaker of Machakos, just because she went to State House, needs to be chased away. That is not what the Constitution says, and everybody has that freedom of interacting, or even freedom of expression and interacting with whoever that you feel. Yeah. It's okay. So we do acknowledge the politics of party, but we should not be enslaved by the party ideologicals to an extent that we do not allow the constitution to prevail, and also to an extent that it interferes with service delivery to the people. So that was the problem, but I think now we are set. We were able to resume operation after...
You even appear before the Senate?
We appeared before the Senate last week, I think on Tuesday. But if you also look at the issues that were being raised, the objective was not there, because also Senate is also failing in some way, because they cannot just purport to be resolving the issues that are affecting people, yet the bill on autonomy of county assembly is lying with them, because if that separation has been clearly defined, then the things will be different. But they were able to do what they are supposed to do, because they also have that mandate to safeguard devolution. And I think it's on the same breath that they invited us. But even before going to Senate, we had already made a resolution that it's time to get back to work and serve the people of Machakos. Is back to work. Yeah, we are back to work. And after the recess on 10th of June, we'll be back with the plenary, but the committee and the other oversight operations are running smoothly.
Great. I think it was just a point to make a clarification. Okay, so people of Machakos, Mdozi ako hapa amesema you are back on track. All right, so we are here. It reminds of the Siasa chess game that you're talking about, the game of chess, where Wakili, you've heard what he said, that you have a political party, but a political party should not box you into a way of thinking that you lose your democracy. That's what I'm talking about here. A game of chess, you have to be tactical about any move you make. Go ahead.
Yeah, you see, I've been in politics since I was in campus, and I've understood, as you've said, politics is a game of chess, and it's very important that you understand the moves and the terrain that you're working in. Yes. And as much as we are in different political parties, there are certain fundamental constitutional principles that we have to adhere by. You see, we have the Bill of Rights, for example, in the Constitution, and everyone has the right to, for example, freedom of expression. You know, everyone, the press is granted their own rights, the freedom of the media. So even as political parties and as we engage, we should understand that we work within confines of the Constitution, and the Constitution will remain to be the supreme law of the land. And I think you saw last year during the protests, it was very evident that people celebrate the Kenyan democracy. People celebrate the Constitution of Kenya with the rights that we have. So even as we engage in politics, let us not forget that there are systems, there is a governance structure, there are rights of every individual, whether you're, in KANU, she's in DCP, I need to understand that she has the freedom of also her opinions, and they are valid, right? Yeah, so we need to understand the environment that we work in, but more so, as we are talking about the game of chess, you have to be strategic, you have to understand what will actually sell to the ground, and I've told you, the youth and Kenyans right now no longer want lies. They want work, because right now if we talk even about lack of jobs, it's even worse for businesses. The environment is not enabling, you see. So we need to now, as political parties and leaders, speak to issues, not personalities. Kenyans need a government and a system that's working.
It must be not so easy to distinguish between personalities and issues, because for you to align yourself to a political party, there must be a figure.
Yes.
So we take our mind to some holiday somewhere and then talk to that personality. Ideologies to neka kando.
Maybe allow me to explain. Yeah?
Right.
You see, like during the KANU reign of Mzee Moi, things like education were working. Right now, we had the issue of the university funding model. We are also seeing the issues with the current curriculum, of course, the transitions and all. You can't just organize yourself as a political party around an individual, yet there are these pressing issues which need to be resolved. You see, so as much as we have the political figures and everyone is trying to align themselves, there has to be now the reality. There is, of course, what politicians like doing, like imagining, like saying, but Kenyans and the youth specific, who are the future of this country, need hope and systems that will work. So for me, I'd like just to encourage the youth of Kenya that if you look at KANU, the things we've always stood for, like social justice, environmental care, health care, economic freedom, and also a good education system. You know how Mzee really opened up many schools and was passionate about education. And some of people like yourself are the beneficiaries, of Maziwa ya Nyayo, and you're here courtesy of the KANU regime.
To clarify, I'm lactose intolerant.
Maybe I would like to chip into what Mr. Atieno has talked about and what you're talking about, personality in politics. And this is what even DCP were actually going through and what I'm really putting some work to demystify. People, when we talk about DCP party, people are really thinking about His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, the party leader. And I agree he's a very critical element to the party, but he's a single element. Our party is an institution, and we are looking forward, and a dream of our party leader was to have an institution that's going to surpass even him. It's to build a political home for the young people of today and tomorrow. And for us, it's an institution with, structures that like the NEC, the NDC. I am sure if I ask somebody who's the chairperson of DCP party, nobody can tell me. Nobody has even interacted with our website, and all the attacks we get, it's just from a single element, and that's the party leader. And so for us, and what I tell young people is that for DCP, it's a whole institution. We have ideologies as a party. Our ideologies is inclusivity, and among them is inclusivity. And because we are very intergenerational and bold, we want to find a place of harmony where the old and the young can really meet at a point of harmony and move forward, because the Gen Z Mandamano showed, young people showed that we are unheard. And we've seen this regime consistent disconnect with the young people, and they continue not listening, because the other day during the power breakfast, the president gave a sorry excuse of an apology. And the other day on Friday, they arrested Rose Njeri. And they had said they are putting an end to abduction. And, by him saying if in his public apology, that means he was not agreeing to anything. He was absolving himself from everything that has been happening. But now giving that excuse of an apology, then going ahead and capturing a young person who was using technology to interact with processes of decision-making in the country, and then instead of promoting, this government doesn't promote dissent. Democracy must protect dissent, and that's how democracy can thrive. And if this regime continues intimidating its young people, and we have very bright young people who are even now like Rose Njeri, who's using technology to engage young people, this country cannot move forward. And for us, that's why we say, for Kenya to move forward, we are saying Ruto must go. And it's not Ruto as a person only, it's what he stands for, it's the regime itself. So that Kenya, where it stands as a nation, it's an international actor, actually. And that's why you see we attract a lot of attention from ICC, and from other bodies. And for us, we are saying if we must move forward in Kenya, because a lot of things are not working. Healthcare is not working. Education is so expensive for its student. The median age of this country is 19 years. That means every young person wants to interact and access education. We're talking about human rights violations that continue within Kenya and across its borders. Let's look at East Africa, actually. We're all picking this behavior of really intimidating, people. Look at Uganda, look at now Tanzania, what has done. Kenya itself, it's not, and it's even participating in Sudan wars. It's really, we are really bordering on.
When you look at, Francis, because at the end of the day, the political or the Siasa chess game that you're about to witness, or we are witnessing right now, is going to actually give out the real Kenya in us when it comes to politics. Because you're going to have your friends, Wanjiku and Atieno, they are going to have their friends. But the common denominator here, you talked about the client, the voter. Is the voter aware of the chess game in the political circle?
I think most of the time when we are forming these political alliances, most of the time we fail as a politician. We normally don't have the voter or the person that we intend to serve in mind, because if you look at the headline here, it's talking about regional kingpin. But most of them, if you ask them, this power that you are scrambling for, what is there for the region that you come from? It's quite unfortunate that most of them will find they have zero agenda, because your past, even as you promise that you are going to deliver something better in future, if given an opportunity, we cannot just give a blind eye to the past or from where we are coming from, because if you look at them, it's just a case of recycling with no fresh ideas. Because look at the party that my sister Wanjiku,
DCP,
the DCP party. It is now almost going to a month, but the real Kenya, the Wanjiku, not her, but the common Wananchi, are they able to relate with the DCP party? Yes, they are talking of listening to the Wananchi, but if you look at it at a glance, can the Wananchi pick and say, there's something for me in this particular, there's something for me in KANU, there's something for me in DCP, there's something for me in UDA, there's something for me in the Maendeleo chapter.
Imagine we have 92. Can you count all the 92 parties?
Political parties are good, but they need to have the core basic principle that they stand for. Because if you go at the, let's say for instance, in the US, there are things that are constant. When you have a Democrat government, there's an agenda that you expect them. Yes, it is in their DNA that automatically, even without having to ask about it, you are normally sure that there's an agenda that must be in their menu. If it is a Republican, you know what they stand for. But in Kenya, political parties are normally used or viewed as just vehicles to help people grab power.
That's what we talked about here before you came. I mean, to win power and to negotiate.
Without an agenda, without a common belief. Because if you look at the current ruling party, the UDA, when they were campaigning, they were very passionate. They were promising, but because of lack of that ideology, a belief that you so faithfully believe in, that's why people get into power and they are not able to adhere to it. The current president, during his inauguration with the now self-declared enemy, who was the deputy at then, before the impeachment, Rigathi Gachagua.
Right.
Even himself, he spoke so well about their commitment to end human right violation. But what is happening now? A basic thing like freedom of expression, it's like now we are going back to the times of the KANU, where
I was waiting for that.
Even times where you could be looked at and perceived like this, like you are thinking in a negative way about the president, and the next minute you are in Nyayo Torture's chamber. That now has been replaced with the Subaru Foresters. If you are not in sync with the government, or you appear to be criticizing, and sometimes it's not critic, it is the truth. Because I don't know what crime Rose has committed that warrants her to be detained. She was only expressing herself, a right, a freedom that has been granted by our constitution that we voted for. So there's nothing wrong about giving opinion, expressing herself, and telling Kenyans, look, This is what is in the finance bill, because it's a public document.
Yeah.
It is not a personal document that you are saying, look, Ross has interfered with the rights of so and so. It is a freedom that she's expressing that is guaranteed by the Constitution that the current government agreed to abide by it. So we need to have an ideology, not just political tools that are geared towards helping some certain individuals to achieve power. Because look at all those formation. I was expecting on this page we should be seeing the likes of Atieno there. We should be seeing Wanjiku there. We should be seeing Francis there. So
your time is coming.
As long as
your time is coming.
The time is now, and that's why the young people of Kenya should not stop at where we left it at on June 25th last year. We need to participate. We need to be heard, and that space is not going to be given. We need to rise up, because if we are not on the table, then it means the young people of Kenya, we are on the menu.
Okay. All right. Let me cut you short there. Wanjiku, do we have future? In 1 minute, if you can. Is there some clean future when it comes to political parties, interactions, formations, and subsequent elections to come? Not 2027 alone. Ahead, as we look forward for that.
Yes, we do. And this is because of the increased public participation, and we've seen people exercise it now from 2024 moving forward. Watu wako macho. We are holding to account public bodies that have been given the mandate to protect the rights of people, to protect elections like IBC, to protect social and economic justice for Kenyans.
Yeah.
For me, I also trust why we have a future. It's because young people are now woke. They understand why they must remain politically active. They must keep a public eye. They must watch the public purse. That's why you're seeing they are looking at the finance bill. They're looking at the debt, the public debt.
Yeah.
And I'm even encouraging them, as we continue looking at national level, let's also look at the counties, because also corruption and plunder exists there in a very high magnitude.
Okay. Wakili, while you were away, you did a lot of work.
Yes.
Okay, let me just put it this way. Can you imagine the lady authored 3 books? Who does that? And launched all of them at the same time? 3. Francis? Yes. 3 of them, and launched them at the same time. One of them is beyond the books, the African Law Student's Guide to Passing the Bar Exam. That one. How many pages? This is interesting. 157 pages. That one. Okay? There's another one here. This one is 100 and how many pages? 269 pages. The role of ADR in an African justice systems, which is, we are trying to embrace it. All right? Is it really working in Kenya?
Yes. And if we look at alternative dispute resolution, it's the alternative to courts. If you look at even the political spaces that we find ourselves in, when we are not able to agree, we have to negotiate, we have to mediate.
Yeah.
That is alternative dispute resolution, apart from going to court. Okay, so in the African justice systems, we know previously, before the formal courts, we had our ways of resolving disputes within our clan elders, within the different leaders in the communities. So what I'm trying to really bring out, that at this moment, not every Kenyan, not every African can access the formal courts, but we can use the alternatives to court, which are the negotiations, mediations, the traditional dispute resolution mechanisms, which actually our constitution in Kenya recognizes. So even as we move forward to 2027, there'll be a lot of political disputes within the parties. I have served as the secretary of the National Dispute Election Tribunal for 2022 in KANU, and one of the ways we resolved our disputes is just through negotiations and mediations.
Yeah, out of court negotiation,
yes,
basically. Okay.
Yes.
And the last book here is In His Court. In His Court, a year-long devotion for lawyers. In fact, when I look at some of the pages, it's all about the Bible scriptures, devotion.
Yes.
And it goes day 12 up to day 30, it continues on and on and on and on and on. This one is how many pages? Okay, this book is still new. Even the pages are stuck.
Yeah, it's a 365-day devotional for
the pages
all.
are stuck, literally.
Yeah.
There you have it.
Yes.
I mean, how can one get these books?
So you can actually just reach out to me on my social media handles, across all board. It's Atieno, Ogolla. We are doing the distribution, the delivery from source. That is myself. Yes, so if you need the books, just reach out to me through all my social media handles. I'm on TikTok, Facebook, Thread, Instagram, Twitter, everywhere, X. Yes, so you can just reach out to me.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
This is some great work. And during the launch of the book, some big people attended.
Professor Kivuta Kibana was my chief guest. We had the president of the Law Society of Kenya, Faith Odhiambo, who has actually written the foreword to the ADR book. And also we had the FIDA chairperson, Ms. Christine Kungu. We had Dr. Motomi Thiankolu and also Sir Nelson Ashitiva. And before I end what I'm saying at this moment, I'd just like to give a clarification about KANU. You know, sometimes we really unfairly judge KANU, but we really have to put KANU into context. If you look at the time that Mzee Moi ruled and what was happening around us as the East African community and Africa at large, we were really at a better place in terms of stability, and we can't lie that we can't rewrite our past, but we can write our future. So Maendeleo Chap is here courtesy of Section 2A, which Mzee Moi readily agreed.
You get it?
And then
he's a beneficiary.
Mzee Moi willingly handed over power.
Thank you.
That was stable.
Thank you. All right. Wakili Atieno Ogolla, thank you so much for joining us. We are just running out of time. And Francis Kaviu, Minority Leader, Deputy Minority Leader, Machakos County Assembly, and Wanjiku Thiga, who is a National Youth Leader, DCP Party. Asante sana for coming. We are going to have more of this discussion moving forward because there is just so much to discuss when it comes to politics. My name is Victor Oloo. Have a good one. And by the way, continue and buy the books. If you're a lawyer, practicing lawyer, buy the books. Have a good morning. Bye-bye.